Stretching for nearly 100 miles between Staithes in the north and Spurn Point in the south, the Yorkshire coastline provides a diverse habitat for a unique mix of wildlife and ecosystems. The Yorkshire Marine Nature Partnership brings together organisations who are working collaboratively to support and enhance the marine environment, recognising its past and protecting our coast and sea for generations to come. In this film, we'll meet some of those partners and discover a little of our much-loved Yorkshire coast.
The first people in where we are today in North Yorkshire was in what we now call the Mesolithic. So that's the Middle Stone Age. And that's somewhere between 10,000 BC and 4,000 BC, more or less. Those people, their lives would have been hugely influenced where we're standing now in North and East Yorkshire by the coast and by the sea. In Yorkshire, Whitby is a well-known early medieval settlement. It was certainly a very important monastic centre, so there must have been a lot of trade coming and going from there. Really from the 16th century onwards, we start to see a lot more of the things being built around the coastline, harbours and ports that assist in shipping, which can still be seen today. But it's the railways that really start to bring people en masse out of industrial cities and to coastal communities. Places like Scarborough and Whitby and Robin Hood's Bay, all of a sudden, they explode with people in the summertime, and so hotels become a big industry as well.
Millions of years of rock deposits, ice ages, seismic shifts and erosion have formed the geology which is the foundation of our unique marine environment. From the coastal cliffs and rocky shores to the sweeping sandy beaches and retreating land.
From Staithes right the way down to the cliffs at Speeton, the chalk cliffs at Flamborough, there's about 120 million years of geology. A lot of what we're looking at now is a product of the Ice Age. We've got huge deposits dumped by the ice. If you go to Caton Bay, right the way down from Caton Bay to Flamborough, there's a huge glacial moraine caused by a glacier that surged forward and then melted back and then surged forward again.
The North Sea coastline provides an ideal refuelling point for migratory birds who fly huge distances to find food along the beaches and shelter in the hedgerows. Whilst each spring the chalk cliffs of Flamborough and Filey come alive with the sights, sounds and smells of the UK's largest mainland breeding seabird colony.
There's about 11 kilometres of cliffs used by nesting seabirds, really from Filey Brig, north side of Filey Brig, through Bempton and down to Flamborough Head. And that's one of the most important seabird sites really in Europe. So there's about close to 500,000 birds here in the summertime. And they're here because of the cliffs, fantastic nesting sites, but also because of the sea where they can get food. There's over 100,000 visitors come to Bempton each year, and as the seabird numbers start to build up through the summer, the spectacle just becomes really awe-inspiring here. In many ways, our reserve here, it's all about facilitating those visits. It's really just supporting people enjoying their visit. But actually, when people walk to the cliff top and experience that total kind of other world of the seabirds, it blows them away. And that's one of the great things for the staff who work here. We see people, who are just absolutely thrilled and amazed. For many people, something like a seabird colony can be the thing which is the catalyst for a lifetime of looking after nature.
Below the chalk cliffs, the underwater world of the shoreline teems with life. Rock pools give us a glimpse into the world of limpets, anemones, periwinkles, whelks and starfish, while further out to sea, crab and lobster hide amongst the rocks, while shoals of sand eels and mackerel swim by forests of kelp. This diversity is supported by the meeting of two oceanic currents. Here, warmer waters from the south meet cold waters moving down from the north, creating an upwelling of nutrients. Larger marine mammals are attracted by this food source too, with porpoise, dolphins, and even whales becoming more regular visitors to the Yorkshire coast, all of which attracts visitors of the human variety.
We have seals, mainly grey seals. There's a big colony north of Scarborough at Ravenscar. We've also got a small colony at Gristhorpe, which is between Filey and Bridlington. And now there's a new colony of seals that's developing and growing on Flamborough Headland. We also have cetaceans. Cetaceans are dolphins, whales, porpoise. Lots of common harbour porpoise out here that we see regularly, especially off Scarborough's Marine Drive is a good place to see them, and off Bempton Cliffs. But recently we've started getting, over the last few years, a real good influx of bottlenose dolphins. And they've started to increase, like I say, over the last few years, mainly coming down from northern Scotland. And again, sometimes they come really close to the coast and people can see them from the land. But we do a specialised boat trip to go and see them in the sea itself. So when we're on the boat and if we do see the dolphins and whales, it's the expression of people's faces. Sometimes it's just silent, where people can't even speak because they've seen the first whale or the first dolphin. The natural world is so important. I mean, just look at this where we are today. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. We don't want it to be destroyed through us, as in the human race. We just want it to thrive, really.
In deeper waters, the rocky shore gives way to sandy seabed interspersed with boulders and ancient glacial valleys. The remnants of a prehistoric land formation connecting Britain and Europe still have an impact on our coastline today, creating the shallow North Sea. Many of our distinctive coastal landscapes were formed thousands of years ago.
1 million years ago, we went into a cold phase and in came the first part of the Ice Age. Because here on top of the chalk is boulder clay from that last ice advance, and that's what formed mainly Holderness as well.
These sand and clay deposits laid down during the last ice age are slowly being eroded by the ever-pounding waves, particularly along the southern stretch of the Yorkshire coast. Here, the shallow waters and sandy shorelines provide food for wading and diving birds, culminating in the expanse of Spurn Point at the mouth of the Humber estuary. This curving spit of land is constantly evolving and is often completely cut off from the mainland during high tides and storms. The sheltered brackish waters of the estuary create perfect conditions for seagrass and native oysters. However, both have seen massive declines in recent years.
Eventually, we'll have a new set of coastal towns like Beverley, Driffield. Bridlington will survive because it's partly on the chalk, and so that's what will change. We'll see local extinctions of some animal and bird species, but we'll then also see movement of new species coming into the area.
Humans have been part of this seascape for thousands of years, and our impacts and influence can be seen everywhere we look. We now know that our actions, both in the past and today, are creating significant changes in the way that our climate functions, causing sea surface temperatures and sea levels to rise, creating more unsettled weather patterns, even changing the chemical composition of the water itself. Our climate is changing too fast for many species to adapt.
We are in a climate and nature emergency. Quite clearly things are changing quite rapidly now, and tackling these really broad issues is essential. In the wider North Sea, there are some really clear indications of climate change, and the key thing is the North Sea has warmed by about 2 degrees in the last 30 years, and we're seeing worrying signs of some of the seabirds struggling to raise as many chicks as they used to, sort of naturally.
We need to shift our perspective towards one which sees the natural environment as less of a commodity and more of a vital asset. By improving our knowledge about the services provided to us by the marine and coastal environment, whether that's food, fuel, or opportunities for fun, we'll be in a much better position to reduce our impacts on the environment, restore vulnerable habitats, and enhance our marine ecosystems.